Great. Thanks, everyone, for joining us for today's presentation. 5 reasons your business continuity offering is breaking the bank. Or also, I added this subtitle, DRAAS and the Failover Revolution. My name is Carla Federigo, and I'm the Director of Marketing with InfraScale. I'll be presenting today, and I have all of my contact info for you. So if anything comes up after the presentation that you think of later that you want to ask, feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to speak with you. We'll take a look now at the agenda for today. So first, we're going to look at some key trends in BCDR in 2016. We are then going to look at choosing a BCDR solution. And of course, we'll talk a little bit about InfraScale, so at the end, I'll talk about the InfraScale difference. And then if you did want a recording of this presentation, it's going to be posted on our website after the presentation, just at infrascale.com/webinars. So you can take a look at any of our past webinars there as well. And then if you have any questions throughout the presentation, use the question tool, please. You should find that along the sidebar of the software. And you can use the question tool throughout the presentation. I do have access to that. So we're going to definitely do a Q&A at the end here. And make sure to ask lots of relevant and on-topic questions. We are going to do a giveaway during the Q&A, so stay tuned for that. And then lastly, you see a note here that you can join the conversation on Twitter using the hashtag DRAAS, and you can follow us at InfraScale. So before we dive in, I actually am going to launch a quick poll because I would love to start off with hearing just a bit about you. So let me go ahead and launch this. You should see it pop up here. Great, there we go. So I'll give everyone just a moment to answer this poll here. So we're simply asking here on our partner size, so just tell us a little bit about you and how many customers you have. 0 to 10, 10 to 25, 25 to 100, 100 plus. The high majority, it looks like so far, are saying 100 plus. And we've got 60% of you who voted so far, so I'll give it another minute for everyone to participate. And this is just great information to have so that I'm able to cater all of the examples in the presentation and really just give relevant examples. So it's really helpful information. I appreciate everyone who's participated. So let me go ahead and close this poll down now, so we can get back into the presentation here. Great. All right, so let's make sure that you're viewing the screen again. Okay, and there we go. All right, so I just want to introduce really what InfraScale's mission is. It's pretty simple. It's to eradicate downtime. And we're a DRAAS company using the cloud to eradicate downtime. Now, obviously, we can't eliminate the causes of downtime, but what we aim to do is eliminate the pain that your customers experience in the event of an outage. And just to be crystal clear, when I refer to DRAAS or DR as a service, I mean the ability to fail over an entire business environment, not just file and folder data, to a second location in the case of any outage or any disaster. So DRAAS is going to let you quickly reboot and virtualize servers and applications and keep all of your end users productive while you fix the root cause of the outage. So what we've found, though, is that this type of on-demand failover is really outside the reach of most businesses. It ends up leaving them ill-equipped to respond to outages. So what we're going to look at is why. And before we look at some of the current trends in the BCDR industry, let's look at some of the problems and just be clear on what this webinar is about. So business continuity and disaster recovery are closely related practices, right? In that they deal with an organization's level of preparation for unforeseen risks and unforeseen issues to continued operations. So the trend of combining business continuity and disaster recovery into a single term really resulted from the recognition that both business executives and technology executives need to be collaborating closely instead of each developing plans in silos. So this BCDR set of processes and techniques is going to help any organization recover from a disaster and continue routine business operations. So what we're talking about in this webinar, since BCDR includes business operations, that whole side of creating policies and procedures that ensure essential business functions are available during and after a disaster, and then also the IT side of BCDR, so defining how an organization's IT department is going to recover from a natural or artificial disaster. So that's what we're going to be focusing on today. Because we can't cover everything in this short presentation, we're going to be focusing on the disaster recovery plan today. And typically, most medium and large enterprises have an integrated BCDR plan or a separate BC and DR plan for dealing with any unforeseen disaster. But if every company relies on those critical systems and data, then why don't we all have a plan in place? Well, like you see here, the biggest problem experienced is cost. So price is really the primary inhibitor. In fact, over 60% of recent survey respondents said that price is the #1 purchase criteria. So that might sound familiar to you guys. Would you say that you agree, you disagree? You can use the question tool and let me know. So what's the solution, and how can we address this cost issue? Well, InfraScale delivers on-demand cloud-backed DR as a service, or DRAAS. We guarantee a 15-minute failover, and we can do it in 90% less than incumbents. So of course, during this presentation, we're going to see how. But first, let's take a look at some recent trends and some data in the industry. So here, these two charts tell different but very relevant stories. So on the left, we're taking a look at just how pervasive downtime really is. 90% of data managers surveyed experienced downtime in the last 2 years, and 47% experienced an outage this year. And then on the right, we are seeing the top causes of downtime. So not surprisingly, hardware failure and human error together account for over 3/4 of all downtime. And these are what we call the micro disasters, right? And then the natural or macro disasters account for just 5% of the total. So when we're talking about any type of disaster recovery, we want to look at how to recover from both those micro disasters and the macro disasters. And then historically, disaster recovery invariably means trade-offs. So on one end of the spectrum, you have off-site tape backup, which is cheap, but it takes days to recover. And then, of course, you have cloud backup, appliance backup, and then we get into cold and warm site DR. And anywhere along this continuum, you have trade-offs between cost along the bottom, from least to most expensive, and then recovery time, from days to just seconds. So your recovery time objective, or RTO, should be extremely fast. So then on the far right, you have hot site DR. So the primary and secondary systems run simultaneously. The data is all mirrored to the secondary server in real time, so you do have both systems containing identical info. Yeah, of course, this is the fastest RTO that you see on the screen here, but it's really expensive. Look at the cost of this. So really, what you want and what you need is an affordable, on-demand failover solution. So enter DRAAS, like you see in the top left here, DRAAS Nirvana. So DRAAS is going to let you leverage a backup appliance to quickly reboot and virtualize VMs and keep your users productive and keep all of your customers happy while you fix the root cause of the outage. Now, it can only deliver on this promise if you find the right vendor. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that in just a minute. Now, here is just sort of a reiteration of what we discussed in the very beginning. I mentioned cost is the largest inhibitor, right? So here are some of the barriers to adoption that we found in a recent survey. And I should also mention that in the handouts section of the software, you can get a copy of this report with all of this survey data, and you can also get a copy of the slides that we're looking at today. So you have access to that, again, in the handouts. So what we found, and in that survey that you can grab in the handout section, the survey is companies ranging from 100 to 5,000 employees. It was 350 companies in that survey, and most of them said that they could not fail over to a second location. Only 10% in that survey said that they could fail over within 15 minutes. So here, these barriers to adoption, why haven't we invested in failover? So the number one reason is the perceived cost of a disaster recovery solution. And then after that, having insufficient IT resources and solution complexity were the next highest barriers to adoption. Now let's jump in then to really the meat of this presentation. 5 reasons your business continuity plan is breaking the bank. So this is the title of the presentation, and here's what we're going to focus on. So number one reason is using reserved infrastructure. This should definitely be avoided. And what you're looking at here is why. So what we just saw on a previous slide are the trade-offs, right? The trade-offs that some solutions can achieve the recovery time that you want, but they just can't achieve the cost. So here on the left, you see how most DR solutions are architected. You have it replicates to the failover site. And then, of course, because of the bandwidth, the people, the software involved, this can cost up to 3 times as much to set up a proper DR solution. And then on top of that expense to implement, it's complex to test and to use. It's vulnerable to hackers since security isn't built right in. So avoid reserved infrastructure, but still get on-demand failover. And you can get it at the price point of most backup solutions. This is what InfraScale delivers, and we'll talk more about it, of course, in a minute. Now, number 2 reason, hardware-heavy solutions. These should also be avoided, and you can easily do this by finding a vendor with cloud spillover. So how many of you are utilizing cloud spillover now? Please use the question tool, just a simple yes or no, to give me an idea of who's using cloud spillover. And while I let you guys answer that, let me give you a quick scenario. This might sound pretty familiar when it comes to backup and recovery. You may buy an appliance that you end up, of course, filling up. As the data grows, that appliance quickly fills up, so you have to buy another one. And then fill that up, then buy another one, and fill it up again. And continue in this cycle, this circle. It's really the old way of doing things, where more space equals more appliance. But let's look at the new way on the right. What if you could have the last hardware appliance that you'd ever need, just a slim rack mount unit, 1U unit, that you could send, say, 1 terabyte or 100 terabytes? So we do this by utilizing cloud spillover technology. It intelligently spills data over from the device to the cloud, all based on policies that you can set regarding the age and the value of the data. And this is actually something that Gartner mentioned in 2015. They named us a cool vendor in business continuity and disaster recovery. And they put a quote in there saying, InfraScale says that when you need more space, get a bigger cloud, not a bigger appliance. So of course that's going to be huge cost savings for you, and you can use cloud spillover for your growing data. Okay, that brings us to the 3rd reason. And the 3rd reason is going to be that you don't have complete coverage. And it's increasingly vital to protect all of your customers' data, all the applications, all their devices, and really that means that you need a solution that's designed end to end. So you want a solution that can back up any device, and so this includes servers, both physical and virtual, desktops, laptops, mobile devices, including geolocate, remote wipe. You also need a solution that supports any operating system, so not just Windows, but Linux, Unix, VMware, Hyper-V, and you want to be able to deploy in any form. So this means any type of form factor, including physical appliances, virtual appliances, or agent-level backups. And then, of course, store in any cloud. So you should have the flexibility of storing your data in any cloud. So this could be the vendor's cloud, your own private cloud, or party clouds like Amazon Web Services or Windows Azure. Then you want to, of course, be able to recover anything. So recover from, say, an entire database server down to the mailbox level. Even preview each message for search and recovery if needed. Then boot anywhere. So we just discussed this just a minute ago. You want the ability to boot on the appliance or in the cloud. And finally, fail back any systems as well. So just taking a look at this complete slide now, you do need a solution that's designed end to end. And InfraScale lets you protect all of your data, from mobile devices to desktops, laptops, physical and virtual servers. We support over 100 versions of operating systems. So you really want complete coverage, end-to-end coverage. Keep that in mind. So that brings us to number 4, the fourth reason. Are you prioritizing recovery and testing? So think about this in sort of an old way and new way scenario again. Now think about what you'd normally have to do in the case of an outage, and just say it's 2 a.m. on Saturday, where you have to get out of your home, go to your car, drive to the data center, start recovering from backups. But imagine the new way. Imagine that if you could just grab your iPad off the nightstand and bring back 200 servers in the right order within 15 minutes guaranteed. And by the way, the time that this really takes is mostly about 90 seconds. And then again with testing as well. So the old way of testing, it was such a hassle, and it was so much so that you'd only do it once a year. But what if you could be able to test every day and have that ease? Know that it's guaranteed, know that it's functioning properly. So that's our fourth. And now our final reason here, number 5, revolves around data privacy and encryption. So let's take a look at this encryption and security system that you see here. So double-blind encryption is what we use. Rather than other solutions taking raw files and sending them to the cloud, we use this military-grade system to protect data. It's really best practice as compared to those other methods. And this is encryption locally, in transit, and at rest, just like you see here on your screen. Now, this is the only way to truly ensure that data is secure. It allows us to enable with compliance regulations such as HIPAA, PCI, Safe Harbor, and many more. And so this whole idea behind double-blind encryption is specifically for critical business data. The approach here encrypts data locally with a key that only you have and the vendor doesn't. And then when the data gets to the data center, it's encrypted again with a key that the vendor has and you don't know. So by having 2 separate keys, it dramatically lowers the chances of an attack being successful. And then even if a hacker gets in, they can't decrypt the data because they don't have both keys. So think of it as similar to a bank deposit box. You need both keys to access that data. Now let's look at a recap of the 5 rules of DRAAS that we just covered, right? 1, avoid reserved infrastructure. 2, avoid hardware-heavy solutions. 3, design it end-to-end. 4, push-button failover. And 5, encryption and security. Okay, and with that in mind, with that quick recap, I've talked quite a bit, so I'm going to launch one more poll so that we can hear from you. So let me launch this second poll here. So in this poll, simply I'm asking, when it comes to business continuity and disaster recovery, which of these is you? So 1 is I can fail over to a second site in under 60 minutes already. 2 is I wish I could offer failover DR, but simply can't afford it. And then 3 is I don't think I need to offer failover DR. So I'll give everyone a moment to answer here. All right, we've got 33% of you have voted so far. I'll give everyone another moment to vote. And it looks like we're almost at the majority have voted so far. It looks like 38% say I can fail over to a second site in under 60 minutes already. And of those of you who selected that first option, what about failing over in 15 minutes? Can you guarantee that? And you can use the question tool to answer that one. Just a simple yes or no on the 15 minutes would help. And then 50% say I wish I could offer failover DR, but simply can't afford it, and that's what we're going to talk about next. So we are going to talk about pricing. And then just 13%, a very small portion, said I don't think I need to offer failover DR. I'm really curious to hear from those of you who answered C. Why is it that you don't think you need to offer failover DR? That's just my own curiosity. I'd love to hear from you. And then I'm seeing some of the comments coming through, not within 15 at this point, working on a new solution, says James. Oh, Sam says the solution, is it only supported within the AWS cloud? No, Sam, not only AWS. We support your cloud, our cloud, or any cloud. So we can support private cloud deployments, public cloud, so not just AWS, but Windows Azure as well, or of course the InfraScale cloud. And we have 12 global data centers. Where specifically are you located, and where would you be looking to host that data? Okay, so let me go ahead and close this poll down now so we can go back into the presentation. Let me shut this down. Okay, so you should be again seeing the presentation now. Looks like that's working. Great. Okay, so like I mentioned in the very beginning, I kind of shared our mission statement, right? It's simply to eradicate downtime. And again, we're a DRAAS company that uses the cloud to eradicate downtime. So here's where I just want to talk a bit about InfraScale to share a little more about our company. Now, here is a quick look at all of the endpoints that we're protecting. Each red dot, I shouldn't say endpoint, I should say business. Each red dot represents a business that we protect. And we're protecting thousands of businesses globally. So again, I mentioned our dispersed data centers. So our geographically dispersed data centers are worldwide. We have data centers located in the US, in Canada, in the UK, Australia, South Africa. So we have locations globally that you can, again, use our cloud, your cloud, or any cloud. And this map is just a great overall look of the global presence that we have. Now, with that in mind, I want to run us through a quick look at failover in action. So I want to show everyone how this actually works. So this is a quick video where I'm going to walk through the steps that you'd take if there was a disaster, so you can see just how fast it really is. Now here you can see I've just logged into the InfraScale dashboard. So I have a ton of analytics and tools right at my fingertips here. So this is where you can manage your server backup fleet, all your endpoints, all from one centralized place. So let's assume it's 2 a.m. I get a call that the data center is down. So I've just navigated here to the office with a downed appliance. Assuming here there's one server per office, and what you'll notice is that I don't have to mess around with any VPNs. The InfraScale dashboard gives me the power to manage remote environments without any extra hardware. So looking at some of these appliances here, I'm going to click into this browse and recover files here, this appliance that was replicating to the cloud. So now I'm going to navigate, I'm on the Cloud Boot tab here that I'm going to open, and I can see all of the servers in that office. So I can find the server that I want to bring up first, and I'm presented with this Cloud Boot wizard. So here the first thing I'm going to do is pick the point from which I want to bring that server back. So I picked the most recent date, and then I'm outlining my network configuration. I can decide which traffic do I want to accept. So in that case, I want to accept traffic from RDP and SSH. And now here, I'm just going to set up an email notification when the VM has been spun up. So set that email up to ken@infrascale.com. And now let's verify that the server is actually running. So what I'm going to do from here, I can flip over into the Active tab. I see now that the VM has already been virtualized, so that selection's ready. So now I'm logging into Windows Remote Desktop Client and connecting to this particular server. So as I log in, you'll see that I have network connectivity. So it's connecting here. But I do need to ensure that I have both inbound and outbound connectivity. So the very last step here is going to be to check that I have outbound connectivity as well. So I'll just need to ping Google. So I open up Windows PowerShell and ping Google to ensure that I have both inbound and outbound connectivity. Great. So that's it. Now let's quickly just review what we just saw and what I just did. Just logged into the dashboard, found the office that was impacted by the disaster, found the server that I wanted to bring up first, then I cloud booted that server and logged in to test connectivity. So that's it. Great. Now let me get out of this video here onto the next slide. So again, what you just saw is the entire process, and you saw how quickly that was. Now, just a bit of a recap about InfraScale, just so you're a little bit more familiar with us. We're based in Los Angeles. We were founded in 2011, and we currently have over 1,000 MSP partners worldwide. So in turn, we are protecting over 1 million devices. And you can see here 1 million devices protected and counting, because that's increasing daily, just like you saw on that global map that we looked at a moment ago. So what I want to do at this point, I do want to be sure to offer everyone who's on the line today a free failover evaluation unit. So if you'd like to take advantage of this free failover evaluation unit, all you need to do is type in your name and your email address into the question tool, and I'll get you set up with that. But in the meantime, I do see a number of questions that were coming through during the presentation, so I want to be sure that I have time to answer all those. And then I also want to do one last poll with everyone. So I'm going to pull that last poll up in just a minute. You'll see that coming up here. Great. So there's that last poll I have up, and I realized someone just asked, you hadn't covered pricing, so let me pull that up as well. I must have a new presentation here, so let me grab that. And I'll give everyone a moment to answer that poll in the meantime. So it looks like we have 26% of you have voted so far. 42% have voted so far. All right, and we've got just about half have voted so far, so I'll give everyone just another minute there. All right, great. Thanks for participating in that poll. And it looks like the high majority are currently comparing vendors and looking at a new solution right now. We have 70% of you on the line. So with that in mind, what specifically are you looking for in your solution, and who are you comparing now? I'll wait to hear from a couple of you on that, but I have in the meantime pulled up, let's see, let me go back to sharing my screen here. Let me close this poll down. All right, thanks for your patience, everyone, with that. So I pulled up from another presentation that I did. Apologies for having removed this from today's presentation, but I'll make sure to add these slides in and email that out to everyone. So if you did use the handouts tool to grab these, I'll send you a revised copy. So again, this is our cloud failover appliance that can scale from just 1 terabyte of data to 100 terabytes of data. And what we did here was a cost comparison. So I shared my screen again. You should be seeing this cost comparison that we did. And just so that you see, it's an apples-to-apples comparison we did with Barracuda, Unitrends, Datto, and Infrascale. And what that comparison was 10 terabytes on the appliance plus 3 years of cloud storage. And what you can see is that the Infrascale solution was 70% of a savings. Now, here's another competitive comparison that we've done with Axient, Datto, Barracuda, and Unitrends, and then of course Infrascale. So this chart really helps summarize some of the key criteria that you want to be looking at when you're comparing different solutions and really seeing how all of the major vendors stack up. And what you can see from this here is that these other vendors just don't stack up the way that Infrascale does. So ability, if cloud spillover is included, if you have complete coverage, remember an end-to-end solution, if you have push-button failover, that encryption and security that we looked at, and then of course we looked at the recovery time, or the RTO, recovery time objective, and keep in mind we offer that 15-minute failover guarantee. Now, when we do look at these comparisons, I just want to be really clear on what is included in our pricing. So our pricing is very simple and transparent. Now, whenever you're doing a pricing comparison, make sure that you do get an apples-to-apples comparison with whatever vendor you choose. So just ask, does the vendor charge extra for support? Do they charge extra for professional services? Make sure that you understand all the pricing. Ask things like, can I use my existing hardware, or do you limit on the number of days I can test? So our pricing, again, very simple, transparent, cloud spillovers included. There aren't any additional fees for any services or professional services. Maintenance is included, testing is included. You can use your own hardware and deploy virtual appliances on your own hardware. And there are no hidden fees. It's simply based on the amount of data that you need to protect. So you have essentially the appliance cost and then the monthly subscription, so you can also generate recurring revenue for cloud services that you sell. Okay, and since I have this up, I'm also going to discuss the channel difference that we offer. Our program does offer 4 really distinct benefits. So we offer rich margins on our cloud-connected appliances, as well as recurring revenues, like I just mentioned. We do protect your leads with deal registration. We offer dedicated sales reps so they can help you close more business. And then we're also very partner-centric, so all of our business is directed to and through our partners. We do funnel real leads directly to our channel partners as well. So we essentially will work with end users and enterprises up until the point that we pass the sale through one of our channel partners. And then we also offer technical support. So once you sign up with InfraScale, you have a dedicated SE to support and help train. We also offer how-to videos, and we really show you how it's done and how to configure your deployments. And then finally, for demand generation, for select partners, we also offer NDFs, so we help fund and execute webinars and small executive live events. And we also have an online partner resource center to help you with brandable collateral, email templates, videos, and other items to help you get started. All right, so with that, let me turn to the Q&A then at this point. So let me go back to the original presentation that we have. And then let's jump into the Q&A. All right, so first question that I see coming through here is, can you give a quick overview of the company history and customers? So that's a great question. As I mentioned a moment ago, InfraScale was founded in 2011. We're headquartered in Los Angeles. Oops, looks like my screen sharing just died, so sorry about that. Let me share my screen again. All right, you should see that popping up just now. Great. Looks like my PowerPoint just restarted, so all right, you should be seeing my screen now. Great. All right, so we were talking about InfraScale as a company and how we were founded in 2011. We're a venture-backed company. We have over 150 employees worldwide, and we have over 1,000 MSP partners across the globe. And then the next question says, you didn't share specific cost. So what is the pricing model? Well, I didn't share specific cost because it simply depends on how much data you have to protect. Pricing starts at just a few $100s if you're using just cloud storage. We also have the appliances that range from, just 1 terabyte up to hundreds of terabytes. We have a 1U unit up to a 9U unit. So it really depends on how much data you have to protect and your environment. But let me know further details, and then I can also have a sales rep give you a specific individualized quote. Okay, are there any overage costs as limits are met? What if I go over capacity? Is my data not backed up? Great question. If you go over capacity, we're simply going to contact you and let you know that you need more space. You're also going to be receiving warnings in the dashboard anyhow as you get close to capacity. So the key point is that we're never going to leave you hanging without your scheduled backups. Your data is still protected. All right. Is the backup real time? or can we determine the frequency of when each server is backed up? So those protection policies are fully configurable. So you can set it to protect every 15 minutes, every 24 hours, whatever you'd like. Okay, for VMs, can you only get the most recent or can you go back to checkpoints? So you're able to go back to any point in time that you have backed up. And because you're setting your backup and retention policies, you have complete control over that. All right, do you leverage data dedupe? And what sort of dedupe efficiency do you get? So we have a 90% deduplication rate. Of course, that's going to depend on just the types of data, the types of files, but we do have a very powerful dedupe technology built in, so you can have up to 90% deduplication. All right, are there minimum bandwidth requirements? So just at least a 1 megabit connection, that's all that's needed. Okay, how does the appliance throttle bandwidth usage during production times? So we have a really powerful bandwidth shaping tool built in, so you decide how much bandwidth it should use at different times. Great, what is your support like, and do you offer 24/7 support? Yes, we do. We offer 24/7 support 365 days a year. It's US-based support. So about half of our support team is here in Los Angeles and about half in our Salt Lake City office. We have support via email, live chat, ticketing, we have a knowledge base, and we have a phone line with a 1-hour SLA. Okay. Can you replicate to multiple cloud services? Yes, we support Amazon, Azure, and InfraScale's own cloud. Where are your data centers? How many do you have? So we have, our data centers are located throughout the US, Canada, the UK, Australia, South Africa, and South America. All of our data centers are Tier 3 and Tier 4 with biometric credentials, redundant systems, et cetera, et cetera. So that really also just goes to point out how we are very concerned with security. We take that very seriously. When it comes to compliance as well, all of our data centers comply with HIPAA, Sarbanes-Oxley, PCI, Safe Harbor, CES 70, SSA 16, CDRAAS, many other regulations as well. We sign business associate agreements. Your data is encrypted at 256-bit AES locally, sent over in SSL, and then encrypted again at 256-bit AES. And then if you want to take it a step further as well, with UltraSafe Max, you can not only define the password, but you define the encryption key itself. So that really just shows how seriously we take security. Next question says, will the webinar be available for review? Yes, it will. It will be available at infrascale.com/webinars. I post it usually within about 24 hours of the presentation, as soon as I have the file ready and converted. I see now some email addresses coming through regarding the free evaluation unit, so definitely make sure to just use the question tools, type in your email address or your phone number, however you'd best like us to reach you, and I'll make sure to get you set up with that free evaluation unit. I'll make sure to have someone reach out to you within the next day or two to get you set up with that. All right, let's take a look at the next question here. Okay, should we have a backup of our backup, or do you replicate our data and bring it back for us? How redundant are your data centers? So we replicate to another machine within the same data center in case that cluster goes down. We also replicate to another data center in a different state or geographic region in the event that there's a problem at the data center. Either way, most of our customers also generally keep a replicated copy. And then since we keep replicated copies of all of our protected data, the redundancy shouldn't be an issue. But again, with critical data, you can never have too much protection. Okay, next question says, is there a setting to allow high priority backups versus lesser valued data if space is limited? So yes, again, you will set all of the policies here, and you can set the priority based on the age and the value of your data. All right, is the solution compatible with my WAN accelerators? Well, when you look at WAN acceleration and also over-the-wire deduplication, both of these technologies with data compression are built right into our solution. So some solutions require that you buy a WAN acceleration system, but we have that built right in, as well as our patented deduplication technology. So it really allows us to dramatically reduce the data payload that gets pushed over the wire. Okay. Is InfraScale an agent-based backup, or does it communicate with the hypervisor? Do I have to install agents on devices and servers? So for agent-based or agentless, we support both. What we recommend is that within the data center, you use the agentless approach and connect directly to the hypervisor. But for things like maybe a Unix server or Linux running on Metal, then we have agents there. Oh, okay. Next question. Let's see here. So the next question says, in failover mode, can my clients be redirected to production environment? We are a SaaS provider. So if I understand your question correctly, I just want to make very clear that we move compute to where the data sits. So that's how we can spin this up and have you running very quickly. That's how we do it, and with the 15-minute guarantee. Whether you have 500 terabytes sitting on the appliance or 500 terabytes sitting in the cloud, by moving compute to where the data sits, you'll be able to offer that guarantee to your customers. Okay, next, I'm seeing lots of comments now about the free evaluation. No problem, I'll get you all set up with that. So let's scroll down here and see the next question. Do you support VMDK browsing and granular file recovery? Can I browse at the mail level within an Exchange backup? Yes, Exchange granular recovery allows for search and recovery at the individual mail level. That's not common with all EGR solutions, but it's part of our service. So if you want mailbox level recovery, you can just open, say, Ken's mailbox, drill through, find an email with an attachment that was deleted, and then you can just find it and restore it. It's all part of our service. How does InfraScale handle backup sets with very large number of files? Is there a point at which you recommend splitting a backup set into more than one? So we can handle millions of files in a backup set. Because we have support for NAS filers, Windows file servers, you're really going to be into the millions of files before you need to worry about that. How do I get data back on site from the cloud? So that's a great question. Similar to what I just mentioned, is that we move compute to where the data sits. So we're going to move the VMs and run the VMs where the data is. And then using DRAAS, we don't require you to move your data back to compute. And again, that's how we boot you up in minutes, no matter how much data you have. And then, of course, we can fail you back as well after. What options do you have for IP addressing? So we can set up MPLS networks, we can set up a virtual private network, or we can set up managed DNS. So there are a few options there for IP addressing. Next question says, can you replace the Veeam solution with InfraScale completely? Yes, we can, and it would actually be a more complete solution as Veeam only deals with virtual. So it definitely would be a more complete solution for you, and I'll have someone reach out with the specifics for that. All right. Does your solution offer a sync and share application like a Dropbox or an OwnCloud in addition to the backup solution? So while Dropbox is a consumer-grade product, yes, we do offer an enterprise-grade sync and share application. It's called file sharing, and that can be accessed via a desktop sync, via a web browser, or mobile app. And then being an InfraScale customer, that automatically gives you access to file sharing. Your seat can all be viewed and allocated within your dashboard. Okay, do you offer monthly payments, hardware as a service? We do. So yes, instead of paying all up front, we can allow you to pay on a monthly installment basis for the 1200 and 1500 series. I think we may have more updates to that recently, so I'll have to check on the specifics with our sales team, but yes, we do offer that. Okay, next question. What are your retention policies? Fulls, incrementals, differentials, question mark. So with the retention policies, you can log in and change those policies independently. So you have the full ability to do that within the dashboard. Do you offer white labeling for MSPs? Yes, we do. We're a completely rebrandable solution. And then next question from the same partner, do you sell direct and compete with partners? So just to be very clear, no, we don't compete with our partners. We're a channel-focused company. We work direct only up until the point of sale when we pair the business up with one of our channel partners. So this is not only the DNA of the company, but it's how it's always been. We are channel first. Okay. Do you give any training or onboarding for me or my customers? So yes, we do have a US-based customer success team to provide onboarding. We have a partner resource center as well. So we can provide templates, videos, data sheets, all sorts of resources there to help you get started as well. Okay, and I'm just seeing one or two more questions coming through here. Is cost somehow related to the amount of data? So yes, the cost is simply going to depend on how much data you need to protect. We don't have any additional fees or charges past that. For example, you won't need to pay additional for any professional services. You don't need to pay additional for onboarding or direction that way. So other solutions that have many fees on top of the base price, that's just simply not what you're looking at with InfraScale. So it's just simply based on how much data you have to protect. Okay, this is a great question here. Asking, Datto doesn't let me back up laptops, particularly roaming laptops. Can you do that? So yes, definitely, we have endpoint protection for individual mobile clients. So you can install an agent and they'll back up just fine there. We include geolocate and remote wipe of endpoints. So you have that built in as well. Okay. If we remove a system from your DR, how do we assure that all references to that server / data has been removed? How is it removed from your data centers? What do you do when data needs to be deleted? So when data needs to be deleted, we utilize secure multi-pass delete, and that ensures that data is completely and safely destroyed. Okay, and I think that was the last question that I can see here, because I'm seeing more comments come through with requests for the free evaluation. I do want to be conscious of, we just have 5 minutes left in the presentation. So if you asked a question that did not get answered, if somehow I skipped over it, as lots of questions were coming through, and I was scrolling through them there, I will be sure to follow up with you via email. So I'll make sure to get those answered if there was anything that you didn't hear. So I'll go ahead and send also a copy of these including pricing out to everyone who joined today. Thank you so much for being here. And then we also are doing a giveaway during the Q&A. We had lots of questions come through, and it looks like Sam F. asked lots of relevant and on-topic questions. So Sam, you're the winner of that giveaway. Congratulations. And you've won yourself a new Chromecast today. So I'll contact you after the presentation and make sure that I have, he says, thank you very much, hooray, and a smiley face. You're very welcome. So we'll contact you afterward to make sure that we have your correct information for mailing that. So keep an eye out for an email from Jen here at our office. And thank you everyone for your participation in this webinar. I very much appreciate it. And I look forward to working with you all in the future. Thank you so much.